Good afternoon and welcome everyone to Getting Personal with Parkinson's Facebook Live weekly conversation series. I'm Caroline Colas and I'm the Senior Director of Health and Wellness at the Marlene Meyerson JCC Manhattan and the Program Coordinator for the Edmund J. Safra Parkinson's Wellness Program supported by New York's largest healthcare provider, Northwell Health. For over 12 years, the JCC has been hosting programs for individuals living with PD. You can find these programs on our website at www.mmjccm.org/Parkinsons. And you can see the link below in the comments section as well. Please go ahead and take a moment to share this on Facebook so that others can know that we're live and can join us today. For those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. This program is for anyone whose life has been impacted by PD, those diagnosed, as well as family and friends. And we want this conversation to help put a face to Parkinson's and to introduce you to people living and thriving with PD, as well as those that are helping them live better. We welcome your input. If you want to be a guest or if you know someone we should feature or if there's a specific topic that's of interest to you, please let us know. All inquiries can be directed to our very own Whitney Chapman, who's in the background today and behind the scenes, and her email is wchapman@mmjccm.org. And now I am so excited to introduce you to somebody that I have had the pleasure of getting to know and collaborating with, Gloria Lebeaux. Gloria is the Director of Social Work Services at the Barry and Florence Friedberg JCC and a trained psychotherapist providing consultation and individual and group counseling to adults and their families in her private practice. She's an adjunct professor at Adelphi University of Social Work and a field instructor for social work students. Gloria was the director of JASA's Long Beach Senior Services, director of Naturally Occurring Retirement Community, NORCA, is it NORCA?
NORC.
Yeah, NORC. Services at the Midland Y JCC in Plainview, and the director of Home Share Long Island at the Family and Children's Association. She received her BS in social work from Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland and her master's in social work from Columbia University. Needless to say, Gloria is very well educated and knowledgeable in this field. She has a special interest in the field of aging, bereavement, and in working with individuals with Parkinson's disease and their families. I welcome to the call, Gloria. I am so thrilled to also say that Gloria and I have been collaborating together, and we're going to have a few special programs that we're going to tell you about that will feature in the fall, and we'll bring in the fall, and we'll talk to you about that a bit later. But first, Gloria, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me, Carolyn. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
Well, social work has been a key component for folks that have been living with PD, especially during COVID. And I'm just wondering if we can sort of go back for a moment and just talk a minute about what social work is and what social workers do.
So I'm going to actually read. I don't do much reading, but I am going to read a textbook definition of social work quickly. So it's a professional who aims to enhance an individual and their family's overall well-being and help them meet their basic and complex needs, and on a larger level, to help meet the needs of communities and people as a whole. So that's a lot of fancy jargon that really just tells us that social workers work with various populations and communities. And I think their role primarily is to help guide people to unlock some of their thinking patterns so that they can broaden their thinking, so that it helps them with decision making. It helps them get some new coping methods that they haven't had before, helps them learn to adapt to situations like Parkinson's disease, to other chronic illnesses. So social workers are guides. They are supporters. They are informers. They help educate. So it's a wide range of possibilities that social workers open them up to.
You know, it's interesting. My mom's a social worker. She got her PhD in the healing power of humor, and she has worked her entire married life. I've seen her help various people in various communities, whether it's children or addiction or teaching at the college level. And I just am always struck by one of the words that she told me. She said, when life gets hard, get help. And I know that you were saying that when we were talking earlier, that you're a daughter of Holocaust survivors, and that has influenced and impacted your choice of career. And also, we were talking about trauma and healing trauma and how important that is. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Sure. So I am proud to say that I'm the daughter of Holocaust survivors. My parents came over to this country after having survived trauma. And as the daughter, first of all, of Holocaust survivors, I was the only child in the home. So I became what I would say I became the nurturer, the helper, the advisor, the teacher, the translator, because my parents were, I think they were struggling. They'd always struggled. They struggled financially, they struggled professionally, and of course they struggled with adapting and adjusting. And so I took on the role of, I would say, the helper. Now, clearly, I, thank God, did not undergo a Holocaust, but trauma is passed on not just genetically, but just passed on from generation to generation unless we make it our business to heal. And I always say that as a social worker, my role is to help people heal through trauma. And I think when people come with Parkinson's disease, while I would not put it in the same league as, of course, the Holocaust, but it is trauma. You are dealing with your life changing dramatically. You are losing potentially some of the functioning that you were used to. You are a different person than you were before, and you know it. And so helping people adapt and adjust and find their own resilience and their own strength is what I think I do as a social worker in terms of healing trauma.
Wow, beautiful. And how did you get interested in working with Parkinson's, people living with Parkinson's?
Yes, so I came to the JCC in, I think, 2017. And I would say not so long after I started there, I started to get phone calls from people with PD living on the South Shore of Long Island were having difficulty accessing services. Most of the services that are out there were on the North Shore. And driving to the North Shore from the South Shore, and I think we're all can attest to the fact that that is not it. That's not an easy ride for the best of us, let alone if you are an older person, and let alone if you're transporting someone who's got some physical difficulties. So they started calling, asking for programs, and something, the Friedberg JCC, where I am lucky to be working, what they do best, I think, is to respond to gaps in service. When there's a gap, they create the service. And so there was definitely a gap of service on the South Shore of Long Island. And I reached out to a PDA, the American Parkinson's Disease Association. They put me in touch with New York Institute of Technology, which is the premier provider of service on the North Shore. And we partnered and collaborated together. And that is always the best. That's my favorite, partnerships. And we started the first support group on the South Shore. It was a monthly support group for people with PD and their care partners. And we started our first fitness class, which was a Tai Chi class for Parkinson's, which is still in operation today. So that's how my journey started. And I have to tell you, I got hooked. I was intrigued by people who have Parkinson's. I was intrigued by the fact that many of them take real control over their journey. They are incredible in terms of how much they want to learn about it, how much they know about their illness, how important it is for them to keep active, to keep engaged. And I was impressed and really wanted to continue to help them. And so that was how I started, I guess, on my journey.
I couldn't agree more. I feel the same way about the people living with Parkinson's that I've been honored and had the good fortune to meet and help facilitate being part of the team. And I think the social worker is an important part of the team. We, of course, use the team approach, and collaboration is so important, especially when living with Parkinson's. And, you're gonna need a village. It's gonna take a village to help. When should somebody reach out for help, speaking of help, to a social worker?
So I think it depends on the person. I think for some people, if they're at the very beginning of the journey, it is very overwhelming. Most of them engage a neurologist pretty quickly. They do know they need to get that service. But once that begins, they then usually start scanning the internet, right? That's the way we get our information today. And it is overwhelming and frightening. And so at that point, I find that it is a great time to reach out to a social worker to just help them process all the information, all the changes, to learn about the different helping people that are out there, whether it's support groups, whether it's fitness programs, just to kind of figure out, what do I do with all this information that I have?
Right.
And do I need to be afraid? Or do I need to begin to take one day at a time and really learn about this? So I think that's the way to start. And that's the first time. I think the next time people usually approach a social worker is when they're about halfway into the journey and some things have changed. And so caregivers often will call because they are feeling tremendously stressed and strained, and often will ask the question, what about me? And we often need to give them permission to also take care of themselves. So that's another really great time to engage a social worker.
Yeah, so even resources like legal assistance and financial assistance, and as you said, finding a support group, and for the care partner, right,
Yes.
as well, seem, and I love the words we were talking earlier, you said like an emotional tune-up, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think they need to sometimes just kind of check in. They want to see if the feelings they are feeling are okay. Is it okay to be scared? Is it okay to be frustrated? Is it okay to be angry? Is it okay for the care partner to be mad at the person who has PD because they're just overwhelmed? Is it okay for the person with PD to start to have days where they just feel down and frustrated? And questioning. So sometimes that's the emotional tune-up. Are these feelings that I'm experiencing, are they okay? Are they on that spectrum of normal that everyone uses that word normal? Is it normal to feel these things? So I think sometimes people need a lot of support and validation.
Right. And how does one find a good social worker?
So I'm one. So, they can always call me. I'm available to at least help them, to help guide them and get them, resources and referrals, as you said. But really, they can ask, first of all, they can always reach out to the APDA for lists of social workers in their region and in their area. They can ask their neurologist. They could reach out to the local teaching hospital. Northwell's a perfect example of being able to give great referrals. Mount Sinai, Stony Brook, all the teaching hospitals that really do a lot with Parkinson's are also available, and will be able to give them referrals. Their medical doctor often will also have a referral. So there's lots of ways to get a social worker.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I know that I believe we're putting some information in the comments so that people can find that directly and look that up. And again, please do take a moment and share this if you happen to be watching, so that other people know that Gloria is here, because this is important information. And oftentimes we were talking about how people come into the PD matrix, right, of learning about PD in different places. Sometimes it's through a neurologist, sometimes it's a fitness class, sometimes it's a friend, sometimes it's a Alexander teacher. And getting the complete picture of information of how you get these resources is really important to us, and one of the reasons that we're collaborating. You said that the family is often the first to approach you for help. Either the spouse or an adult child is coming on behalf of their loved one and is trying to locate the best resources for neurologists. But you also mentioned that it's important to recognize that they might need help too. Do you interview both the person with Parkinson's and their families, or how does that work?
So again, I think it depends. I usually like to have the client, family, person with PD be the guide. I say they guide the ship. So sometimes if the family member reaches out for themselves and themselves alone, I just interview them. If it is a family issue or a relationship issue, I often will see them together and separately. Sometimes the person with PD will reach out and really not want to have a conversation with their loved one. They really want something private. I will interview them. I really try to respect everyone's privacy, but at the same time recognizing that it is a system and that the relationship is impacted by this illness. And oftentimes they really need to learn to communicate with one another and share some of those difficult feelings that they have with one another. It opens up communication. It prevents those resentments from building up. It prevents frustration from building up because they're talking to one another and they're problem solving together. So I will do both.
That's awesome. And I know that we interviewed Suzette, who was a cognitive hypnotherapist and therapist, and she was talking, and someone whose husband was diagnosed with Parkinson's when he was 24. So they have 4 grown children, so they've been dealing with this for quite some time. And she said, how could I complain about my situation when he's going through so much? And she said that was one of the, even as a therapist herself, one of the things that she had to seek help for, right? Is being honest about how it was impacting her and not wanting to hold back, and vice versa, so that they had the hard conversation so they could be honest and they could move forward. Can you speak about that? Is that common, where I don't want to hurt their feelings, or how can I complain because they have it so much worse than I do? That dynamic.
Oh, absolutely. So we have to remember, they were people before they were a relationship, and they were individuals before Parkinson's. What do they call it? BP? That's what we call it, BP, before Parkinson's. And that relationship needs to be nurtured, and she, as the person, the spouse, whoever that is, needs to nurture themselves as they would have if the person did not have Parkinson's disease. So I think reminding them that they are each individuals, that they are not just defined by Parkinson's, and that she is entitled to have a full range of feelings and emotions as a human being, and again, not just as a caregiver. And I think the largest issue I see with partners or relationships is that they have gone from spouse to caregiver and no longer see themselves as spouses anymore. And to remind them that that piece of the relationship needs to be nurtured, regardless of whether there's a disease there or not.
Beautiful. Some people that might be just joining us and maybe new to Parkinson's might not be aware that depression, anxiety, or apathy are sometimes symptoms of PD. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, unfortunately, those are pretty, I would say, common symptoms of PD, and often symptoms of the medications or side effects of the medications that they take. So, sometimes your medication is not your best friend. It's helping one and it's starting another problem. So recognizing that depression and anxiety are symptoms, and first of all, that the person with PD is not doing this on purpose, is not trying to be sad or feeling sorry for themselves or refusing to take care of themselves, but actually they have a very serious symptom, which often can be treated with antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication, and that they need to ask for help from a psychiatrist as well as a neurologist, because they do not have to necessarily live with the pain that comes with some of those symptoms. Those are very painful things to have to experience and to live with, and that it isn't necessarily something you have to stay with. Some of those things can be treated with psychotropic medication.
Right. And I would think that that's where a social worker can come in, it's like, wait a second, we don't have to live with this, right? We can live well with Parkinson's. That's one of the tenets of our program, certainly, in offering hope. What determines when someone is in a group setting and that's the more helpful situation versus having private or one-on-one sessions, or is there sometimes it's important to have both?
Yes. So I think, again, I think the individual's personality,
Mhm.
their needs guide the ship. So once again, I think if the person is coming because they feel isolated, if they don't feel heard, if they just want to talk to other people who are experiencing what they experience, if they want to learn about resources, if they want to check out the information that they've gotten, then a group is excellent and is so important. But if someone is socially anxious, if they are dealing with other issues that might have been triggered by Parkinson's, people have had other traumas in their lives that could have been
Right.
triggered by Parkinson's. If they have private information that they don't feel comfortable sharing in public, if they are experiencing embarrassment or shame because of Parkinson's, that is something they first might want to deal with privately with a therapist. But just because someone starts individually doesn't mean that at some point they won't be ready to then go to a group, because I really do believe that the power of a group, of a support group, there's nothing as powerful as a support group in what it can offer someone. That sense of empowerment, that sense of community that individual counseling can't offer in the same way.
Right. And not being isolated, not being alone,
Yes.
right? And also, what I find in our support groups is, um, or even in our fitness classes, when people um, sit around and talk, they're sharing information, and the ability to share something that might help another is a sense of usefulness, a sense of cohesion, a sense of, wait a second, does anybody have any idea how to handle this situation, whether it's a physical symptom or a financial situation, or even, how to get from one place to another driving? Like, can anybody help with that? I've seen that happen in a group setting,
Oh,
that
yeah.
it's been quite beautiful. Um, we've covered a lot of territory. Is there anything that you feel that you want people to know out there about social work, individuals, groups, when you're living with Parkinson's, that they should know?
Well, I think there's a couple things. I think first of all, I mean, I'm going to repeat myself, but it's so important. I think that communication is key. Not having to deal with this issue alone is key. Do not have to be alone. It can be a very isolating disease, but it doesn't have to be, because there are so many other people who would like to share with you and who want to help. So I think more than anything that this is not something that they have to do alone, that our JCCs, the Friedberg JCC, the Marlene Meyerson JCC, are places where there are lots and lots of caring, supportive individuals who want to offer their expertise as well as just sort of their camaraderie, and that there's other folks who are trying as you are to get through this journey with humor, with grace, with resilience, sometimes with frustration, and that it's a place where you could share all those things.
Yes, beautiful. And speaking of collaboration, shall we talk about some of the new programs we've been cooking up?
Yes, yes, and they're great. They're so exciting. So we're hoping, cross our fingers, in October we'll be starting 2 new programs together virtually, so that there is no geographic limitation to any of this, which I think is the greatest part of it. The first one is called drumming, which is exactly how it sounds. And we have an amazing instructor who's a physical therapist, Ian Furtado, who will hopefully be teaching drumming. And I'm going to see if I have my little cheat sheet to describe the drumming. I do. And so it's a combination of fitness, music, and drumming rhythms. And it's a way to burn calories, yay, stay active, achieve strength and balance without even realizing. And I have to tell you, we started drumming a few years ago. We did have 1 or 2 classes, and it was, first of all, I took the class for part of it, and you think it's easy, and yet it is really, really invigorating is the word to say. So in other words, when you're done, you need to take a nap. It's very exciting, it's invigorating, and you get a great, great workout. So it's something to really look forward to. And it will start in October, the beginning of October. It'll be an 8-week program. And I know there'll be more information on our joint websites. The other program is called LSVT Big, LSVT Exercise. And it is an exercise program that uses large movements primarily. And because what happens with Parkinson's is that your movements become constricted. They become much smaller. And so, of course, one of the ways to deal with that is to expand your movements. The instructor is Samantha Levine, who is an amazing, vibrant young woman who really is very well skilled and offers a really exciting program. It's a 4-week class. We're going to do two 4-week classes, one seated and one standing. So it'll afford programs for all levels. And I'm just excited to see it happen. I think it's going to be great. Again, more information to follow.
Me too. And I have done a drumming class before. I was up at a spa and they had this class and I said, oh my gosh, let me try it. And you are right, Gloria. It is not easy. And it's great. You have to hit one stick and then the other stick. And so there's some equipment that you'll need to purchase, a ball and some sticks, but it's not that prohibitive. And then also Samantha is a physical therapist. And of course, there's 8 big movements that you learn 2 each time, each week. And the groups will be small so that you can take advantage of, and all again on Zoom. So we're really excited about this because we feel that both of these programs are going to be effective and fun. And that's a huge component of living well with Parkinson's, right? Is that you stay connected, that you have fun, that you get to experience the full range. Gloria, I think that you were saying that so beautiful, the emotional tune-up, that you get to experience the full range of emotions and be human, right?
And that you can find your voice. You know, I think for many of them who's either physically and emotionally feel like they've lost some of their voice with Parkinson's, these are all opportunities to actually experience your voice and find it. And I just think that's just the best, really the best.
I agree. PD has taught me many things. It's taught me to be grateful for what I have, but also for the opportunity to work with these people that are living with Parkinson's that are not defined by their disease. I think you said that so beautifully. And I love teaching people living with Parkinson's the most. And I find that it's exactly what you were saying. They're very engaged in their own healing and very motivated. And so it's a wonderful exchange. And that's why we always say, hey, if you want to come on the show, or if you know somebody that you want us to interview, or if you want a topic, please let us know. And they do. So I love that about our community. And what has PD taught you, Gloria?
Perseverance. I mean, I think more than anything, you know, I think that what I see with someone with PD is they don't give up. You know, there are times when I could understand why they might choose to give up, and then they still don't give up. And they don't give up on their families. They don't give up on each other. And, you know, I think one of the nicest things is when I see, let's say, a boxing class and one of the people didn't come. They're all asking about that person. They all care about them. So the idea of sharing a community together and persevering against sometimes real difficult odds, that's what I've learned from PD and working with people.
Wonderful. This has been so helpful. I know that it is going to be useful to a lot of folks out there. Again, I encourage you all to share this on Facebook and let other people know about it. Gloria, thank you so much for sharing your lunchtime with me and for all the wonderful resources you shared with us today. Is there anything that you would like to end with or say?
Well, I first want to say thank you, Carolyn, so much, you and your wonderful team, to Whitney, for collaborating with us at the JCC, for reaching out and helping us. And I think the idea that both of us care so much about the population and want to really, I think, give them opportunities, more tools to work with. I'm excited to work with you, and thank you for having me on your show. This is very exciting.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure. And everyone will put Gloria's information in the comment section below. And remember, this conversation is for you. So please let us know if you're interested in learning about something, a topic, or sharing with us. And if you have questions about living with Parkinson's or how best to care for someone living with Parkinson's, please let us know. You can email Whitney Chapman directly. You can put it in the comment section. We want to be having the conversations that matter to you. And if you would like to sign up for our Living with Parkinson's programs at the Marlene Meyerson JCC Manhattan, please see the link in the comments to fill out an intake form. It's very short, very quick, only takes a moment. And once completed, we'll be able to help you. Someone will reach out to you and help you with that. We look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, everyone. Gloria, I know we have some information about the Friedberg JCC in the comment section as well. So whether it's our organization or the Friedberg JCC, please take care of yourself. Please don't be alone. Please reach out. We're here for you. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.